If you are curious about woo-woo, spirituality, psychics, mediums, tarot card readers, this is the episode for you.
It's a fun one. I get to ask the hard questions on, do you think this is real? Is this legit? Is there science behind this kind of stuff? And if you've ever wondered any of those questions, at the very end in the lab results section, Chloe and I decide that Seeking Center.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Decision Lab podcast. And today we have Robyn and Karen, founders of Seeking Center. Welcome, you two. We're so grateful and excited to have you today.
Well, we're so grateful and excited to be here with you and this energy that you both bring to our conversations. We're so excited.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I just want to express, y'all had us on your podcast.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for having Chloe and I on your guys' podcast.
And we received so much feedback around that. Our audience loves you guys. So they really do. They really do. The energy that you bring and what you're doing is so important. So we're excited now to talk on your podcast. Yeah.
Right. The tables have turned.
That's
All right.
That's right. We're ready.
You guys are doing some really cool stuff. So I'm really excited for the origin story section today. What we generally start with is just tell us your story. Like, how did you guys get here? Rob, whoever wants to go first, but what's your story? How'd you get here?
You go, Rob.
All right. So, I start a little bit, may feel like a bit sad, but it's not, I swear. It ends up really good. But I start, for me, I think so much of this journey started when I was 12 and I lost my dad unexpectedly. And I, at the time, really didn't believe in life after death. That was not a conversation we had in my house. I thought when you died, you died. And so for me, it was my life changed overnight. And number one, I had to actually grieve my dad, which took a really long time as a kid. And I also, really thought that it was over. Like that my relationship was over. And I started having dreams actually about him not so long after that felt really real. And I would talk about that with my mom, who didn't discount any of that, but it's not like anyone said, oh, that's a visitation, that's real. So I just want to put that out there now because it'll come back full circle. And what ended up happening for me is it was my mom, my sister, and I. And in our house, Oprah became a mainstay. That was something we could all talk about. And so I very much looked up to Oprah and all the things that she would bring to the table because we would discuss that in my home, and it became the pulse, the heartbeat of our house was, what did she have on today? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that, And so for me, another dream that came to me in high school was that I was going to work for Oprah. And I remember this dream where I was sitting in her office pitching her ideas. I mean, what? And there was no such thing at the time as the internet in my world, because that's how old I am. Okay. So
Can't even imagine that.
I know, right? Like I had a personal computer and I would play these like ridiculous games on them, but there was no internet. It was like you had a floppy disk and you put it in there. That's what I'm talking about. So when I went to college, I thought I'm going to work in TV and I'm going to work for Oprah one day. That was really my goal. And while I was in college is when the internet started to become a thing. And so when I graduated, I applied to work for Oprah. Didn't get something right away, but I did get a job at Nickelodeon. And they were launching a channel called Noggin that was the first on-air online children's television network in coordination and partnership with PBS. And I was really fortunate because I got a job there to help launch it. And I was really on the ground working at a place, working for Nickelodeon and PBS, but also working with Broadway Video, which is the company that does Saturday Night Live and a lot of NBC work. And so I was in there for days and hours on end, helping to put together this new network, and also learning a lot about the internet at the same time. And so that really, launching that network was so pivotal to me getting my job at Oprah. Because I still, even though I loved that, I loved working in children's television because for me, so much of what I wanted to do and I realized was be of service in some way. And I felt like I wanted to combine working in TV at the time with being of service and having fun. And what I would later learn is that with Oprah, her intention is to educate, entertain, and inspire with everything she did and does. And so that makes so much sense. And at the time, I didn't even realize that's what I was doing with children's television. But what I ended up doing was staying on top of, were there any positions at Harpo, which is Oprah's company. And they ended up, they were launching Oprah.com, and they were looking for people who had both television experience and digital experience. And there were very few people like that in 1999. So I was really fortunate. And at the beginning of 2000, ended up getting a job helping to launch Oprah.com. And I was part of like a very small team at that time. And we launched Oprah.com. And I ended up being at the right place at the right time because it was at the beginning. And it was really at that time, the beginning of what the internet was going to be. But nobody really knew that it would become that 24/7 pulse of all things everywhere, wherever you are and whatever you were doing. And so I ended up being there and helping to grow that from a marketing part of the company to an actual business, and growing that team from 7 people to over 100, and actually becoming integral in the Harpo world, which would later become the OWN world, the Oprah Winfrey Network. And
Wow.
so I got to work with all the different people that came through our doors for the Oprah show. And then we ended up building tons of original content and programming on Oprah.com, and for all of those different spiritual teachers and thought leaders that came through our doors. And then worked with the magazine and her philanthropy and the radio. And so I had like this front row at the center of like a spoke in a whole wheel to work with everybody that was part of her world, because we were that hub. And I feel so fortunate, because I got to learn from all the people, including Oprah, that came through those doors. Wow. So that led me to where I am now, because with each of those experiences, I began to kind of open up more and more to who I really am and that spiritual side of myself, and understanding what being present means and what our thoughts are and that inner voice in our head. And some of those integral experiences were with Eckhart Tolle. I helped take his book, A New Earth, with a woman named Elizabeth Lesser, who started the Omega Institute. And we helped translate that for the masses and created, with a whole team of people, the first webcast that we did for the Oprah Winfrey Show. And that really changed my life. It changed my life. And then a few years later, I worked with a spiritual medium who cracked me open even more, because she reconnected me with my dad that passed away when I was 12. And I knew that there was no way information that was coming from her could come from anywhere else. She was giving me such specific information that no one would know. You couldn't look me up at that time on the internet. And I knew there was something more to explore there. And I also knew that it could become a resource for me, and that my dad actually was still around. And in my opinion, we never really died. We just changed energy. And he'd been with me the whole time. He saw what was going on. He saw how my sister and my mom and I were doing. He knew my daughter, who at that time when we connected, it was like 2.5 years old. And then I started seeing signs from him all the time. And so fast forward, that was in 2010. And then in 2018, I came to a place in my life where I was at a crossroads, where I really felt like I didn't know what to do. I felt really lost, even though on paper my life looked great. I had this incredible job. I'd been with Oprah now for 18 or so years. I had a great husband. I have a great husband, and I have this child that I really wanted. But in my soul, I felt like something was dying, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know who would admit that to. And the only person I told really were my husband and my sister, to a degree. And I thought, what do I do? And I decided that I was going to make an appointment with a trusted medium. It wasn't the same one that I had met in 2010, but it was someone I'd met since then that I trusted. And I made this appointment for April 25th of 2018. Earlier that week, I had been at a party where I didn't know there was going to be a psychic, and everyone was going to get 15 minutes with this psychic, and she just knew people's first name. And that weekend, when I had that 15-minute reading, she said things that just like touched my soul. It's like she asked, do you want to focus on anything? I said, yes, I want to focus on work. And she told me, you do something right now that's been extremely successful and really fulfilling, but you're going to do something that's completely in line with your soul's purpose for being here in this lifetime. And she said, but it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to happen after 2020. So I'm not telling you to quit your job today. And this is 2018. She said, you're going to create all this programming and you're going to be within that spiritual space. And like, she went on and on. And it gave me hope. It didn't make me change anything. But then when I had my reading that same week with this trusted medium, all that information, she did not know. I did not tell her any of that. The exact same information and guidance came through. And she said, and on top of it, you're a medium and you're an intuitive and you can do this work. And I really would encourage you to see if you can take some classes this summer, see how you can start to channel some of this yourself. And so at that point, I started to believe it. And I also met a shaman, an astrologer, and another medium all within like 2 months. And they all basically told me the same thing. None of them knew each other. And only that one medium knew me prior at all. And so at that point, you start to pay attention and you realize like, maybe there is something here. I'm going to do some soul work, which is what I did. And during that time is when I met Karen. I had met Karen in 2017 working on a project for Oprah. And we didn't realize it at the time that we were both at a crossroads in our lives. And I knew if this project didn't go through, that I really had to leave. Like I knew that in my soul. And now I at least had a game plan. And that's what I started to work on. And basically, that project didn't go through, but we had a post-mortem call with the whole team. And I told them I was writing an article called The Night a Medium Changed My Life. And everybody on that call wanted to talk about the afterlife and what happens when we die. And I said, listen, we have to get going on this meeting, but don't worry about it. We'll talk about it on my show one day. And everybody looked at me like, what show? Is Oprah doing a show? Like, what are you talking about? And Karen called me after and she said, what were you talking about? And that is really how we bonded on a personal level. And this is usually where I let Karen tell her story, and then we'll come back to my personal story. But
Perfect. I was waiting to loop Karen in here.
Yeah,
I love that.
I just gave you all the stuff.
And
All the
trust
stuff.
me, my story is nowhere near Robin's. So I can be.
Hey, you don't got to belittle yourself. It's okay. You're awesome.
No, listen, I've been a seeker my whole life. And it's funny, we always say, Rob and I say together, our backgrounds couldn't be more different. I was born in New Jersey, the daughter of a dentist, one of 6 kids, the oldest of 6 kids. But I was so lucky because I had a very metaphysically religious mother and grandmother. So very Catholic, did the, decades of the rosary in front of Mother Mary on Friday nights as a group. But my mom and my grandmother were really into astrology and past lives and all those wonderful things. So we had those books around the house, Many Lives, Many Masters, all of the old Edgar Cayce stuff. And from the beginning, I was fascinated. And as a 12-year-old, I had my astrology chart done. We all did. And so I was very much brought up ingrained in that kind of world of possibility, I guess. And I also had 2 uncles who were Benedictine priests, the kinds that wore the robes, and they would come over for dinner and they would sit on one end of the table and the 6 kids would be in the middle and we'd have the astrologer and the past life regressionist at the other end. And we would listen to the conversations that they would have about, religion and the stars that the Magi followed to find Jesus. And it was I just found it so fascinating to think about all the possibilities of how that all wove together. So growing up, it was always part of my DNA, I guess. And so in going to college and getting involved in television, always there was that possibility in my mind of how do we tell more stories like that? Oprah was on TV. I was watching her too, fascinated by all of the storytellers that she would bring onto the show. And I just always had in the back of my mind, we need more TV like that. We need more shows like that. And so in my mind was always that aspiration of becoming that kind of storyteller. So fast forward in my life, I'd been through so many things. I went through divorce. I nursed a 1-year-old child through cancer. I went through a lot of major milestones in my life that really made me question who I was as a soul, made me reach out to a lot of these metaphysical modalities and spiritual modalities. Oh, did you want to say something, Robyn?
I want you to expand on that experience for childbirth. And because I think that is important in your story.
Yeah. So it's funny how life gives you all these opportunities to really question life. And I was given a number of those. So yeah. So as Robyn had said, when my son Graham was born, it was one of those moments in time where I think I had the chance whether I wanted to stick around or not. And I did, but I was in a coma for a couple of days after I gave birth to him. And I think waking up from that kind of experience really changed me because it made me realize how fragile life was. And within 6 months, he was diagnosed with neuroblastoma. So we had to nurse him through that whole experience. And again, my warrior mother came through and did all of the Reiki and all of those. She brought those modalities front row center in his life. And I think they were really responsible for saving him in many ways. So I think that was around the time in my life where I started to wake up and think to myself, it's not just me who needs to know about this. The world needs to know about this and all the possibilities that can be there if you give it an opportunity and if you explore and you find the right people to guide you. And so that really became my North Star really through the next decade of my life. And I finally decided to leave a very stable role as a producer and a marketer at AT&T because I was seeing what Oprah was doing on the Oprah Winfrey Network. They had just launched it. And I thought, that's where I need to be. That's where I need to go. That's where that content needs to begin. And Oprah was very much in partnership with the Discovery Network, which is all, of course, about inspiration and aspirational content and real life storytelling. And so that's where I decided to go. And within a year and a half, Oprah had gone to the head of the Discovery Network, David Zaslav, and said, listen, I'm seeing all of these apps out there, Insight Timer and Calm and Headspace. And how about if we put an app together that can showcase my programming in a brand new way so people can discover that. So I thought, okay, that's exactly where I needed to be. I came into Discovery thinking it could be a network of programming. And that's actually how I got my job there. I pitched, imagine like feng shui for the home and on HGTV and Ayurvedic cooking on the Food Network, and all the things that the Science Channel and the Discovery Networks were already talking about. I just thought that was really where the home for that should be. And so when Oprah called up and said she wanted to create an app, I was fortunate enough to lead on the Discovery side, the strategy and the design of the app. And that's when I was partnered up with Robyn. So that's how we got together.
A wild freaking time. Fun fact for our audience, I was actually held by Oprah as a child, as a baby child. Yeah.
Now that explains everything about you guys.
It all brings everything together. I was born in Chicago, so my mom, I can't remember if she was at one of the shows or something like that, but yeah, I was a child and Oprah held me. So
I love that.
That's so cool. Well, you can imagine when I sat down in Oprah's conference room, right? And I'm seated in front of, beautiful Robyn, who I did think had a show at the time. I didn't know exactly who she was when we first met. But there was a light about her that I saw immediately. There was a connection that we had, I think, right at the get-go. And obviously this opportunity that we had in front of us to create from scratch what really Robyn and I in our heart and souls had always wanted to do. It was like the thing. And so having that opportunity to work on that for 6 months, sadly, it didn't work out that we could actually do the app. But as we all know, there was a higher purpose. And that really was for Robyn and I to talk. And when I picked up the phone and called her afterwards, I was blown away by her story. I think as we all are, but also with this idea, I shared with her this idea of this network. And I sent this presentation over that I had created to get my job at Discovery. And she called me back about 20 minutes later in tears. And I'm like, oh, what did I say? What did I do? And she's like, no, this is great. It's like, I had an idea for a show. I love this idea for a network. But she's like, Karen, do you know what you named that presentation? And I was like, I have no idea. I had like 50 versions of it. And I had just sent her one of them. And I said, no. And she said, it says my presentation. And then it says 11/17/2015. And I said, okay. She said, Karen, 11/17 is my magic number in life. It's my guiding number. It's my dad's birthday. And so, yeah, I still get goosebumps when I tell that story. And it was just like, it was like the wink from the universe saying,
Oh, I mean, I knew right then. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to work with Karen. That's it. Like, I just knew that was it. And so really we've worked together every day since.
And we're going to get to Seeking Center here in a second. Before we do, though, you guys both interacted in big networks and with Oprah and all that kind of stuff. Something I'm curious about, and that we like to ask founders and high achievers, is what is a failure that you learned from while working with Oprah?
That's a good question. I would say one of the things that I learned, because especially we were working within the internet that was really new at the time. Most people will know, there's two examples of this actually. The first, they're similar, so bear with me, but they basically, when we would do Oprah's Favorite Things, and the first time we did Oprah's Favorite Things, which for those who don't know, didn't grow up watching the Oprah show, around in November before Christmas, but like when everyone starts doing their holiday shopping, Oprah would gather together. Now she does a version of this in her Oprah Daily or the O magazine type experience that she has now. But what she would do on the show is we would get, let's say 20 to 30 different items. And everybody in that audience who wouldn't know before they came would get one of those too. And so up to like, when you hear like, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car, that's from that show, the Oprah's Favorite Things show. And so what we were doing online is we would have to be ready as soon as that aired in Chicago, which was 9 a.m. Central. We would have to have that list ready, and people would have to be able to go get those things. And they would sell out. Those companies would sell out in literally within minutes. And
oh my gosh,
the amount of people. Now think about this. This is this is more than. When it started, I don't know what year it was, but let's say this is 20 years ago, okay? And maybe it was a little bit after that. But my point being to you is we were nowhere near where we are now with how we use the internet, our bandwidth, and all of that. And the challenge for our team was, how do you get all these people that hit your site at the same exact time? So if you have 12 to 15 million people at the time watching a show at the same time hitting your site, how do you make sure? And like, we couldn't keep up with it the first time that we ever did it online. And it was like, and it only made us stronger, and we were able to get it up as soon as we could, but it took a little bit. And that to me, but it showed the power of our team. And then in preparing for something like the webcast that we did, which was also like the most amount of people at once ever watching a webcast, trying to come to watch something again, we crashed. But it shows, it taught me strength. It taught me how much you have to check everything. And I'm telling you, we had checked everything. But no one had ever pushed the boundaries from a digital perspective in that way before. And that there was such, a veracity and like a need and want to get something so quickly. So anyway, yeah.
I was just going to talk to you about this app that we created for Oprah, and the fact that it was a failure was
that's a great point.
Oh,
such a blessing for us, and we didn't know it at the time. I was devastated, like on the floor, devastated, because I thought that was really the reason I'd come to Discovery, and I followed the path and I did what I thought, all the things, and it was like, why, universe? So I couldn't understand why it didn't go through. But Robyn and I now in retrospect know that if it had, it would have become something that was Oprah's, and it wouldn't have given us the opportunity to come together and create Seeking Center, which really is the heart and soul of who we are as people. And it would have been guided by Oprah, which would have been wonderful. But I think Seeking Center has become something completely different in of itself. And without that failure, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Such a great point. And wouldn't be the people we are. Absolutely. We wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about what you the people that you are, what y'all created into our claim to fame section. So could you tell us in 60 seconds what is Seeking Center and why should we care? Go.
Oh, I love that.
Don't
I
worry,
do
there's
too.
not a timer.
Okay.
There's not a
You want me
timer.
to go? You want to start?
Sure, you can.
I'll start. And then, okay. I mean, it's taking somebody who's at a crossroads in their life and really needs guidance. We've created an ecosystem for somebody to really remember who they are and understand why they are where they are and where they need to go. That's what I would say.
I love the remember who you are piece.
Yeah.
That is key. Do you want to do your pitch, Karen, or is that you,
I think
you
I'll
happy
just
with
add
that?
to it, which is what I typically do. I think Seeking Center has become a community where people who are actually looking for these trusted resources. I mean, like, let's face it, the woo-woo world is big and scary and deep, and many people don't know where to go for that information. And so Robin and I have made it our goal to curate the best content out there. So the practitioners that you find that we talk to that are on our Seeking Center community are people you would want to go out for a beer with or have a cup of coffee with. They're very normal, inspiring people. And so we felt really that there needed to be a community that was curated in that way so that people could feel safe to go on their journey and explore and be seekers. So that's the other part of it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So there's other, spirituality networks like Mind Valley, Gaia. Karen, how are you different from those? How do you stand out from them?
We're different because there's a lot of people out there sort of claiming to know everything, and we don't do that. We are, Robin and I've said from the beginning, we're seekers. Seeking Center is not about us. It's not about a person who says they have all the answers. It is a curated community that allows you to have your own journey. So whether you want to come in through yoga or you want to come in through a tarot reading, we offer you that opportunity to explore in that way, and always leads you to that hopefully next thing that gives you more of that layering of information about who you are and why you're here. So we like to say we connect the dots for people, so that if they're coming in and they're trying to explore, there's always something next to go to. We give you something to do or to find or to talk about, so that the Seeking Center journey just continues.
Yeah. And we really believe that, like, once you're a seeker, you're always a seeker, especially if you can have that right first experience. That's really key, which is why we're so particular with who we do associate ourselves with, who's part of the collective, because that once you have that first experience, it usually leaves you wanting more. And to Karen's point, that connecting of the dots is really important, because you need, like, it was really inspired by my own journey. I had to hear things more than once from more than one person who did not know me, who did not know each other. And that was really why what led us to create what we're doing. And then also, hone our own abilities, both from an intuitive perspective, but also understanding who's authentic and who's not.
Right. For people who may have never heard of Seeking Center, could you explain, like, tangibly, like, what is it? How would they know? Like, what could they touch? What do they, when they get, what's the user journey? Like, just give a little bit of an example of that. Where's it? How hosted and all that stuff?
Yeah. Yes. So what we love is that we meet people where they are. And so you can find us on YouTube. We have a Seeking Center channel. We have Seeking Center, the podcast, which was really our first foray out in the public world. So that you can always find, we have over 200 episodes of Seeking Center, the podcast, and we talk to all of these different spiritual and practitioners and thought leaders and seekers. We love to tell seeker stories as well, because that helps other people understand that they too can be on the journey. And so and then we have a private community that you can join, where we like to think of it as both, you can be a seeker or a guide. Honestly, a lot of our guides are seekers. We're all seekers too, right? So we may have an expertise in something, but we're all very interested in what everyone else is doing too, which is what we love. We do live events every week with different spiritual teachers and practitioners. And what we love is that a lot of the guides who have their own expertise show up for everyone else's, along with other seekers who are newbies. And you can come in at this at any level, right? So you can just have the door open, or you could be someone who has taken, all of these different classes, who is, let's say, a medium or a Reiki practitioner. You can be it's for everyone, as Karen said. So
Nice.
that's the way to really find us. So people find us from the podcast or YouTube, or they hear from a friend that says, you need to join this community because I'm going through something. I'm at a crossroads in my life. And the other aspect is that what Karen and I have honed in on our own abilities is that we are able to help people start to connect the dots in their own lives. So you can reach out to us as a spiritual coach, and we don't take on many clients a year, but we take on several where we will help pair you with the right practitioners so that you can see real transformation in your life. It's our own program.
Nice. That's cool. Who would you?
Can I just add, Cody, too? Like, if you're new to the woo, as we like to say,
New to the woo. That's my new favorite. That's my new favorite line, bro.
if you're
We can
new
use
to
that.
the woo,
Yes.
we really like to cater to those people because we know like there's so many woo words and there's so many definitions of things. So if you come onto our community, we love to greet you and kind of handhold you through different experiences. And Robyn said, the live events are so cool. I mean, imagine if you've never had a tarot reading or if you've never seen a medium in action. This gives you an opportunity to decide, like, to sit back and like take a look over the fence to see if it's something that you want to try. And it gives you that front row seat. So we just love to say, and then we also have something called Woo News. So we curate news
Yeah.
and woo.
Yes, I love this.
Right? Like if you're a seeker
Chloe
and
is
you're really
loving
not
this.
exactly sure what you want to dive into, there's something there for everyone that, as Robyn says, meets you where you are. So I just want to throw that little extra in there.
I'm really curious if someone is new to spirituality, manifestation, synchronicities, how do you get them over the bridge, or how do you explain that to them? Somebody who's like never kind of experienced anything like that, because this is something I come across so often in my life when I have friends that aren't spiritual and I have to explain my experiences. I had a similar experience to Robyn. I lost my father at a young age and so many things happened too. And so I'm really curious, like, how do you explain that to people? And then how do you kind of help gently guide them into it?
Yeah. I mean, the way that we do it is just by having them try it themselves. And what I would say though, with that, you have to come at it with pure intention. So what I mean by that is you have to let go of all your skepticism for a moment.
Yeah.
Put down your intention, and let's say it's to see a rainbow that day. Something small, not small, but something like tangible that can show up for you. But you have to also be aware that rainbow may show up as a sticker on a license plate in front of you. It may be on a billboard as you're driving by, but be a huge billboard. Not like, we're not just saying you're making it fit. It's got to be something where you've kind of forgot about it for a moment and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, or ask for someone's specific name. You'll be shocked how that comes to you, whether that's like you're in a restaurant and that's, the waiter at the restaurant, or like someone calls you out of the blue with that specific name, or you're watching a movie and the main character's name is X, Y, and Z. My point is, start with something really specific and so don't make it like, I'm going to make, $3 million this year. We're not saying start there. Start with something really small and keep doing that for a couple of weeks. Make it a habit that you're asking and you're becoming aware. The more that you can become aware, the more this is all going to really work in your life, and it's going to be part of your almost communication with your soul.
I was also going to say, Seeking Center is not to continue to plug Seeking Center, but there's something about seeing these live experiences happen in front of you and seeing the evidentiary feedback that people are actually getting about their question or their intention that you can't question, right? So if you're sitting there and somebody is telling you, unquestionably that your grandmother's bracelet is, and you're wearing it, for example, there's certain things that just, just take the doubt away, I guess. And Robin and
Hmm.
I always say we're never trying to convince people, but when it happens to you and you're sitting in that chair and you really do get that reading or that experience that touches you in a way that nothing else really can, I think that that's really how you start to believe. You see that magic, like we like to call it, isn't really magic. It's real.
Hmm.
And I think it has to happen several times for it to really sink in, because I think there's almost something that might happen once, and then you kind of like um, can make up stories of why that happened, like, oh, and you start to come up with reasons like, well, this and that. It has to happen a couple of times, in my opinion, for something to really help you believe in something more than what you can actually see.
It's
Mm.
interesting. I am probably one of the most skeptical people in the world in general.
Fine.
We've come to
In
know
this,
that, Cody.
I know, and I still feel loved, so it's okay. But it's just it's interesting what some people label synchronicity and is what I would label neuroscience. Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
actively,
Yes, that's right.
like very recently posted a video of, hey, this is the Find the Heart Challenge today. You have a reticular activating system. If you say and set the intention today that you want to find a heart, I guarantee that you will by the end of the day. And that can be explained very simply with neuroscience. And I'm not trying to be combative or argumentative, but I'm just curious how you guys think about that. Because what you just described as an example of woo exist, I can instantly explain with neuroscience. And so what's your thought on that?
My thought on that, and you actually brought that up also when you were on our podcast, which we love, honestly, because part of, and I know we're going to talk about this later, is we want to be able to show science and spirituality. I
Yeah.
kind of don't care what you call it.
Okay.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
how
I
And
I
that's
love
what
that.
I actually, because I think it's still magic. I don't care what you call it,
Okay.
neuroscience or you call
Perfect.
it synchronicity.
I agree.
It's
I love
fucking
that.
amazing. Like,
Yes.
and it's like there's something else
Yeah.
going on, right? Like then we are magical computers.
Hmm.
Great. Like that's what I like to
everybody has
think
to,
of.
Dude.
this is like what we're saying, Cody. We have to meet you where you are,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Everybody's kind of coming from with a different experience and a different level of thinking about, yeah, this is woo or this is science. But like as Robin said, it's starting to blur a lot
Hmm.
now. I think with every day that goes by, if you come to our woo news, you'll find a lot less. But like but that,
Woo
they're
news.
not kidding. It's like every day. That is the stuff that I love when they can start to measure in your brain the effects of breath work and sound healing and
Hmm.
aromatherapy and all of those things, right? So you might call that science, and I might call that woo.
Yeah.
In between,
Cool.
we're
Yeah, I
both
mean, that's
right.
cool. I love that. That's a beautiful way to look at it, and a very welcoming way to look at it, even the
Yeah.
rational among us, like myself.
Well, I'm saying, like, I think if that can help you create and manifest or find meaning, like, great. Like and
Yeah,
that, well, to me, and the way that you put it for you from a science perspective, it helps you can create anything, right? Like if you really
exactly.
put that intention, it's the same how I feel about manifesting in some way. Like it's very similar. It's just, but I like that you can even have like a little more gravitas under there. So it's
Yeah,
great.
that's cool. I love that. This is a part of my identity. It sounds like that is a part of your identity, and something you guys have mentioned multiple times is a seeker. What is a seeker?
I think for me, a seeker is someone who is out looking beyond the 3D world for meaning. They're looking for the reason why they're here, the reason why they've come into this lifetime, why things are happening to them the way they are. They're looking for definition of their life's experience from a higher realm than just the everyday, my job, my house, my home, my friends. They're looking to elevate themselves with a belief that there's more meaning than just the day-to-day experience. And being a seeker means sometimes you don't actually ever find that answer, but you're on the path. You're always on the path of exploration.
It makes me think of an explorer back in the day, and where, they had no idea what they were going to find back. And still, obviously, there's people who explore now, right? Places that we've never really seen. And so to me, it's that same idea of being able to go beyond what you know, beyond what you can see, and discover new frontiers for yourself. Like it really is for yourself.
And I'll also say it's super fun.
It is.
I always say I'm like the Ethel to Robin's Lucy. I didn't go on this path really to be a seeker. I always was excited and inspired by the magic that I was learning. But I think what I've learned with Robyn is, just going on that journey of, oh my gosh, like what can we learn next? What else is possible? And the excitement and the joy that we have experienced with these modalities and these people, and that maybe this is really real. Maybe everything that we're living right now isn't. Maybe all that stuff is. I mean, it's just so much fun. And I think that's the essence of what life really is about.
I love that. Yeah, I love when you get the tingles with a group of people, and I've got them right now. So I wanted to name that. That's
Thank you.
Yes, I can explain the neuroscience of those tingles, but they are tingles nonetheless. And I love getting tingles. Let's move into the lab results section here, because you guys do something kind of unique in this space. Like we asked earlier, what about Mind Valley? Like, what if I'm using them? Why should I use you? How I would have answered that for you is that a piece of what you guys describe on your website and in what you do is that you only invite practitioners and products that meet Seeking Center's authenticity standards. What does that mean? What is your review process? Like, what are your standards? Like, how do you validate these practitioners and products?
Yeah. I think, for me, from a professional perspective and from my experience working for Oprah for all those years, I don't know, countless different spiritual teachers and thought leaders come through my door. And what I will say is there were many of them that were really good marketing people, really good at selling themselves, and, great at sound bites. And I can tell, and I didn't know this was what some might call intuition. I just knew that they couldn't get past that, and that they couldn't actually do some of these things themselves. Like they could talk a good game, but when it came down to it, I don't know. And then I was able to tell with the people who were really authentic, who were 100% could stand behind and do all the things, and had done the programs that they were already saying themselves. You could tell the difference. And because I had so much experience with that on a daily basis, I could feel what was real and what wasn't real. And so I'm able to carry that into what we're doing now. And listen, like in any profession, there are people who are good at what they do, and there are people who aren't. And I think that's what Karen and I and our team are here to do, is weed out. And from our perspective, they not just have to be authentic, have good intention, deliver on what we think that they should deliver on. They also need to be able to be someone that you can relate to. So there are people within the woo world that frankly are too woo for us. Honestly, they're a little too out there. They may come from an authentic place, but they may be not the people that could really speak to our audience in a way that they could hear. Like we know people like all of us that need to have certain things communicated in a way that's relevant to them, not using words that sound so woo, so out there in a way. That's not for us. That's not who we are. That's not Seeking Center. So they really have to, like, my opinion, they have to pass like the test in terms of like, do they deliver on what they're saying, and do I believe them? Which I think is somewhat of an intuitive thing. Like, I don't know. We hope to be able to measure some of that at some point in the near future with like science. But I think the other part is also fitting in with the type of seekers that we know we are and that we're bringing into the community.
And I was just going to say too, just to be really clear, Robyn and I have sessions with every single one of the practitioners ourselves. So there's that. So we have to So we can
Personally
say
vetted.
from our, yeah, with integrity that we have had those sessions and we found them valuable and all that. The other thing I love to bring up is because our team, many members of our team are from the Oprah world, have worked with Oprah at some points in their careers. This was the team that found all of those incredible people that Oprah interviewed, right? And so what we love to
Ah,
say is we want to go out and find those people that maybe don't have a huge social following and aren't,
Mhm.
number one on TikTok and all of the things, but that are really incredible humans that have had incredible experiences that really have are viable practitioners. And so we want to elevate them and
Yeah.
find them in a way and give them the community, bring the community to them and have them have a place where they can find their people and vice versa.
Yeah, and I'd say there are two other things, which are that most of the people, to what Karen's saying, they're in the work. They're not out there marketing themselves out the wazoo because they don't actually care. Their word of people find them word of mouth because they're that good and that's how they make their living. Those are the people that we want to elevate because they are so good at whatever they do. And I think the other part is that Karen and I have actually really gone down the path of understanding how this works so that we can do some of these things ourselves. So
Mhm.
we've taken our courses in Reiki, so we do know how to do Reiki ourselves. We're not saying that we're the best Reiki healing practitioners, but we know how to do it. We know how it works. We know how to communicate and channel spirit ourselves. We do it ourselves, right? I understand how tarot works. I'm not the best tarot reader practitioner, but I understand it. So we there's that aspect of things, is that like we also know how it works to a
Mhm.
degree, and that helps us as we are vetting people.
I think those are pretty good stopgaps. So it sounds like somewhat of an intuitive vibe check. Then
Hmm.
being able to like proof, like, do you have
Hmm.
clients? Have you done this? Have you like, are you consistent? Are you not too esoteric that it doesn't connect?
Right.
And then you guys do it yourselves. Something I'm curious about, is there someone outside of your company that helps you validate these things? Or are there methods that, or is there a way using any type of like validation? Like, for example, I'm trained in internal family systems, right?
Hmm.
Which is kind of, some people would consider that woo woo, because we're talking about parts and managers and firefighters and exiles and trauma and legacy burdens and all these words that people are like, what the hell? But IFS is a clinically validated, meaning there have been multiple peer-reviewed studies and randomized control studies and things like that for anxiety, depression, all sorts of different things so it's clinically validated. So it may be woo-woo, if you
Hmm.
will, but it also has clinical validation. Do you guys have do any of that yet? Or have you like, do you put the methodologies or the practitioners or the concepts they're using against something like that?
I think we keep saying we're in the process of creating the seeking method, right? And we really want to create that good housekeeping seal of approval. So we're in the process, I think, of developing that. We're
Hell
constantly in
yeah.
touch with the people who have these readings as well to make sure, like, there have been times when we've heard from a number of people that somebody has not been as great as we thought that they were. And so we're open to that kind of feedback. We're not just always saying like, oh, once, we give that seal of approval, that's it. We don't kind of hold ourselves to that standard. And we know that not everybody is going to work for everybody. Everybody's got a different
Mm-hmm.
personality. Like we would, when we put together a plan, Cody, for someone like you, for example, there are very certain people that we would put you in. And then for Chloe, we would probably put her with a whole different group of
Mhm.
people. So it's that.
Ah,
I also want to add, we just recently got all of our practitioners who are currently on Seeking Center together on a Zoom call to tell them about our new offering that we were doing. You guys, we started crying because the energy of all of those faces, all of those people on
Mhm.
that call, it was like, look, I'm getting goosebumps. It was like looking at an orchestra and of this harmonious light, and they all were beaming with excitement for what we were doing, for having a role to play on that site, for being seen as the practitioners that they were. But there was just this blending of energy that I cannot even explain that was just so beautiful. So it's a twist to your question a little bit, Cody, but I think we have this sense, as Robyn said, of who these people are, and we are testing that out. And we do believe that eventually there'll be this Seeking Center. Like if they're on Seeking Center, they're going to be trusted.
Well, and I'm just going
Nice.
to add one more
That's
thing to
cool.
that, because one of our offerings is this connect the dots type of reading or experience over several months. And we have such confidence in our practitioners that we know they literally would know nothing about either of you. They might need your first name. It helps them like just connect into your energy. And I can tell you, we just did this the other night with four of them together, and someone they literally never heard of until the person popped on Zoom. And we knew that they would, no matter what their modality, intuitive astrology, tarot, mediumship, intuition and energy healing, they all would get the same type of theme and like sometimes the same words. And it happened for, we had two different people with four people at the same time, basically reading them. It was unbelievable. But that goes to the fact that we vetted, we know them, and we trust them that much. So I just, like, that's how we know.
I
Can't wait to do it to you one day, Cody. You
I
can
would
call it science.
I'd love to be a part of something like that one of these days.
I think we have to.
I know. I agree. We're gonna have to do that.
we should do like a live episode of
We should.
Could we?
Dude, I would do it. I mean,
Yes.
Chloe,
Would you?
I would, yeah, 100%. Yeah, CJ and I just did a reaction video on Are Psychics Legit? Like, and I broke down the psychology, the neuroscience, the bias, the things that are happening that people are missing, the
We're
bottom
doing it.
statements, the rainbow statements, like all of the different things the cold reading that are happening, the probabilities and statistics. So dude, I want nothing more to be proven wrong. I want it.
But again, I think it goes back, Cody, to, I don't know, like, again, it's not proven wrong because it's just maybe different words and different, it's like, in a way, it doesn't matter because in the human body, like, we are, personally, I think, I don't know what you'd think, but I think we're souls in this human, you know, like we have, this is our human suit. And I really do. And so I don't care what you call it, but we came in with a purpose. And I feel like no matter what you want to say, we're here for a reason. And so however you get to feel fulfilled, and we can prove it all you want, but if it gives you that like motivation to move forward, great.
And there are so many people that we work with directly that we've seen them break open literally in front of us. We've seen how they've tried to hold it all together in so many other ways that they're so successful. They've got the resume, they've got the income, like Robyn, everything looks so good on paper. And yet you put them in front of these people who are able to really see the root of who they are and the pain that they're hiding and that they can't share with other people or that they haven't been able to heal through other modalities. And there's something about these modalities that touch them in a different way that allows that healing maybe to begin
This
yeah.
is the edge where I start to me, there's a tipping point. I am with you on, we all make meaning. We all create different frameworks. Some people it's religion, some people it's spirituality, some people it's Reiki, some people whatever that makes the world kind of click for them and makes sense for them, for their soul or whatever. And I think that's awesome. And if it works in healing, I think that's great. Where on the edge of this that I get is, because I work specifically in trauma recovery, I'm working with, I mean, people that are telling me like the most horrific things that have ever happened to them in their entire lives constantly. And sometimes they have gone to somebody who is a psychic or a medium or whatever. And again, this is not an absolute. Yeah. However, someone like that who is traumatized, very traumatized, that goes to someone like this and then is told, you're just not open to this, or it's not working because you're not intuitive, or you're not special, or you're not this, or you're not that. Like, that's where it really starts to get to me, because I can look at somebody and understand you're made of parts, you're exiles, you're these types of things. And I can do that. I do that all the time. People are like, how the fuck do you know this about me? And it's just because I've studied this and I've talked to hundreds of people. Like, it doesn't mean that I'm spiritually attuned necessarily in my words.
I kind of think you are, but that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I had a feeling you might say that. I had a feeling you would say that, but it's just the edges that I get really scared about, especially in
I
relation
agree
to
with you
trauma.
though, but we would
never find a practitioner on Seeking Center doing that, right? Like, that's why we vet them.
Anybody who says to you, you have to keep paying me for this, or this is absolute.
Right.
Not our people.
The
Not
ego,
our
the ego
people.
is checked at the
I
door
love to hear that.
in our
Okay.
world.
Not our people. Like, honestly, that is not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, could you maybe, if somebody's looking for a tarot card reader or a psychic or anything, are there immediate red flags if there's like, three, if they do
Oh,
this, say this? Like, I think that would be really helpful for listeners.
such a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
No.
I
And that's
mean, the first thing for sure is anybody who says, I can put a spell on someone else for you, get the fuck out. Like, no,
Spell work? No.
no.
tempting as that could be.
Right. As tempting as that can be. No. Right. Or I would say anyone who says to you, here's what's going on. Now, here I want to preface this because I don't think that one session can always like transform you for life. Like that, I do think all this stuff, there's no like complete magic wand. I think what the magic wand can be an unlocking for you to help you understand that there is something more going on. But I do think that it does take some time for real transformation. And whether you work with one person over several months or several people over several months that are going to help hold you accountable to like stick to really working on yourself and whatever you're trying to heal or goals, just like when you go to a therapist, right?
Chloe, I would also add to that any practitioner or any experience that you have that makes you feel bad, unworthy,
Yes, that's right, Karen.
less than,
Yes. Thank
That's
you.
right.
is a
That's
red
right.
flag, right?
That's
Regardless
right.
of how wonderful somebody else has had an experience, if
Right.
100%.
that's how that makes you feel, then that is not a good.
And we've run into that.
We have, and we also tend to be leery of those who have a big ego. We're just like,
Yeah.
child, I can.
Or that they know everything. Nobody
Yeah,
knows
and
everybody. No way. They don't.
So
Nobody.
those are some big ones. I would add.
People have called me and said, this person said that if I bought this crazy crystal that cost $10,000, should I do that? I'm like, no, you should not.
Or they
You
say
should
that
not
you
buy a
need-
fucking crystal for 10,000 and think that's going to solve your
Or
problem.
they say that you need to work with them for a really long period of time. Those are just it's general like that snake oil formula where you kind of know you're being
Yeah.
sucked in, right? You should always leave a session feeling great and seen and full of inspiration.
Dude, that's exactly how I wanted you guys to answer this question. That's fucking fire. I'm so happy to hear that. Because I've just been in, I have gone to psychics and they have kicked me out and they're like, oh, you're closed off and you don't want to talk about this. And I'm just like, what the hell? And that biases me. I absolutely can tell you my bias, but it is very refreshing to hear those, especially the worthiness and the shame and those things. So flying colors, ladies, that's fire. I love that. That's cool. Could you guys let's move into the interrogation. Could you guys kind of interrogation, skeptical buyer, whatever you want to call it? What are some of the skepticisms you guys get or hesitation that people have when they're starting to work with you or your products?
One that I want to bring up actually has to do with past life regression, which we haven't actually mentioned yet in our conversation. And, when we talk about past life regression, we're talking about someone doing somewhat of a hypnosis. I like to think of it as like a deep meditation. It's not like hypnosis in that it's going to control you to go do things or anything like that. It's not that. It's really a very deep meditation. You can actually get out of it yourself. And what I want to say about that is when you are in that kind of hypnosis or deep meditation and you're with a practitioner, the ones that we work with are actually able to somewhat be on the journey with you. They can actually sense or see what you're seeing. They connect with you from that energetic perspective. And what I find though is that there are, especially very new people on their seeking journey, they'll close their eyes and they'll be like, all I see is black. I don't feel, I'm not getting any whispers or anything. And I think to me, that's something that can be hard for people to just jump into if they don't actually aren't open enough to really using other senses in a way, because it's not always super visual for people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people.
Just to put some science there is something called aphantasia that literally prevents you. There's a
Yes.
disconnect between your prefrontal cortex and your visual cortex so
Yep.
that you don't visualize things in the same way, but you can still have a contextual understanding. So they might see blackness, but they could still have an experience like you're describing. So there's absolute science behind what you're saying. Just
They can. And I think back to your experience, Cody, even there is a level of going into an experience with an open mind that if you don't, if you can't, if you're going in there with all your guards up and looking for how it doesn't work or can't work, or it does make it really hard for that experience to really flow and be experienced. So we always say to people, go in with an open mind, go in with an intention with what you want to learn. Not every modality is for every person. I suck at breath work. I can't do it. It makes me crazy. I feel like very, overruled about how I breathe. So everybody relates to different things, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So it's just going in with that kind of an open mind. There's possibility.
Well, and I would even say too, with some of our clients that have worked with our practitioners with plant medicine, expecting to have a specific experience, and they don't. And, again, every experience is going to be somewhat different for every person based on what your makeup is, both like chemically and spiritually, I'd say. So, but I think Karen's point is right.
The other thing too is like a lot of people go in with an expectation.
That's right. That's right.
Like if you go to a medium, it's like, I want to hear from my, mother, and they don't come through. They're like, it didn't work. But then they miss all the other messages that have been there. So it's always good to get a recording of any session that you have, because you'll find listening to it later, you get so much.
Key. That's key.
That is another red flag if they don't let you do that. Like,
I agree.
That would be a red flag.
Agree. Good. That's a great point. I'm glad that came up. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And I love what you guys are saying too, because again, I'm trained in IFS, and it is a bit of an esoteric kind of like what the heck kind of thing. And I have people all the time, like, I can't visualize my parts. I don't see my parts, and they're closed off to these types of things. And I have ways to help them get to that space and allow it to heal them and help them for themselves. So I'm with you on more of this than you would. And I run into similar things because IFS may be clinically validated and all the stuff, but I still run into some of the things that you guys are describing. And it also, in my opinion, gives me hope for the future around some of these healing modalities, that there could be research done around them.
Yeah.
So many of these modalities have been around for thousands and thousands of years, have lived at the heart of so many cultures. So you have to take that with a grain of salt as well. There's that aspect of something, the value of it has lived and continued to be there for so many generations, that there's something to it. And just like every bit of science, right? Like, you just have to discover it for yourself. And I always offer that up as well. There's got to be a reason why it's been around for such a long time.
Right. So something that I notice in this space a lot is that there are all these different methodologies and modalities that can help you heal and stuff. And oftentimes people are saying, oh, that's cold reading, or that's this. And they explain away the magic necessarily. But then they also explain away the benefit in a way. And so it's like, do you want to be right, or do you want to get better? And what magical thing or what modality are you going to just go all in on, believe, and let it work for you? And I think that's a big piece of healing in this stuff. And I was curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Yeah, agree. I mean, I think for those, especially who are doing the readings and so forth, that are just trying to be right, if you run into that, that's so ego related. And I would say the people that we work with would say, here's what I'm getting. Listen back to the recording in a few days, because it might make sense to you then. And they would keep going.
I'm more talking about people who are saying, oh, tarot card is fake, or mediums are not real. And they want to prove that thing is not real. And while they are proving they're right, maybe, and it's cold reading or whatever, they're also missing out on the opportunity to potentially heal or have something work for them.
Totally,
that's more who I'm talking about.
Got it. Yeah.
And that's, I think, going back to the intention, right? Like, I could find stuff wrong with your science as well, right? Like,
right. That's so true.
You bring the attitude of what you want to see and find. And we always say you can look at it as a magic trick if you want. And many people do. Many people will go to a reading and be like, wow, that was so cool. And then they'll move on. And they won't really lean into the message or the lesson or the grief that's there that came back up. They'll just squish it back down, right? All of these are just opportunities to unlock things within yourself in a different
100%.
way. And we always say we love to start with an astrology reading for people because there's so much tangibility there. Sometimes going into a cold reading with a medium, there's
I
just
think
so
that's
much
a really good point.
anticipation, whereas the astrology reading can give you some real tangible information about who you are and the multi-layers of your personality, that it feels more sciencey, it feels more tangible, it feels more like, oh, that's either true or not. So we like to start there because it's like a doorway in for people that can be more cool.
Yeah, I remember my husband had, before he ever had a medium reading, he had an astrology reading with our go-to astrologer, Stevie Kalista, who we love the way that she's able to translate and use her own intuition as she's actually reading your birth chart. And I remember when he walked out of there, he walked out of a room that he had done the reading in. He said to me, Robyn, I think Stevie knows me better than you. And we've been together for over 20 years. You know what I mean? So it was just like that. It was speaking to his soul, to Karen's point. Like there's a tangibility.
It's a journey, right? Like none of this is a one and done kind of a thing, right? All it can do is point out places for you to start.
Well, and I want to bring up one other aspect too is, you know, I know for me and for Karen and myself who have now practiced a bit, both with channeling from a mediumship perspective or intuitive perspective, you know, something that's happened to me in the last couple of years is that when a friend of mine, someone in their family passes away, I have no idea why. I think it's because I'm an open channel. That relative will come to me like that next day, that after they pass. And I will just start writing things down that just are coming to me for them. And a lot of times it's really specific. And I give it to them later that day or the next day when I think that they're ready to even receive that kind of message. And I'm asking their permission to give it to them. But sometimes I can't help it. Like something just comes to me. And they're things I would never, ever, ever know. And it's so accurate. And what I would say about that is it just gives them faith and hope that they can still have a relationship with that person that they lost. So again, I don't know where that goes with that. For someone who's really skeptical, when I'm naming your pet turtle that I never even knew you had, I don't know what you say about that. Like there's probably maybe a science thing behind it, but I'm just saying I wasn't even asking for it, you know? So
Yeah.
I can't really explain that one.
I think we have to do this episode.
I'm down. I mean, there are even.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, because Chloe, I can sense that you're open to some of this, and we
Very much,
definitely
yeah.
want to hook you up with your dad.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes.
But I think also doing this with Cody to be able to let him sit over there and really watch the unfolding and then get your perspective. I would love that.
Hey,
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's
here
awesome.
for it. I love this kind of stuff. I've watched many of these things and examined them. Astrology I think is cool, but a lot of it is rainbow statements, which cannot be wrong. You could read them to anyone and they would fit for most people. Like, I mean, there are stats, there are statistics, there are certain names that people name their pets generally. You can even explain how to guess someone's area code from when they were a child with just statistics and understanding how houses are numbered. Like, so and again, I'm not here to try and explain the way the magic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying, if you want to let that be magic for you, fuck yeah. Go for that.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Exactly.
IFS has been very profound for me because I do go in very skeptical and went in very skeptical, and for me had a moment where I was like, holy shit. And IFS is very me-centered, meaning it's one of the only modalities I've ever found that I don't need Chloe or Karen or Robyn necessarily. It's about myself helping me and forming a relationship with myself. And I really appreciate that about IFS. And I did have a moment really where I was like, holy shit, this is wild. Like very profound healing moment that worked for me. And that's the magic I choose. What's the magic you choose? Is kind of the thought I have.
I love that.
And we've always said too, and all of our practitioners will say, you don't need me. They will say that. They will say that they're
Nice.
facilitators.
That's true. That's
that is
true.
also a
That's a
love
major
that.
green flag. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Green
yeah, and
flag.
yeah, most of them really, I would say most of our practitioners, they really just want to teach. They want to teach you how
Beautiful.
to do this.
Hmm.
So again, those are the people that we work with.
I
The
love
other
that.
thing I will also say is, and Robin and I say this to each other all the time, we have moments where we're just like we don't, right? We're real about this. Like we
Hmm.
love
Beautiful.
the practices. They've helped us. We know ourselves better because of them. But there are still some moments where we're like, wait a minute. Is this really like where we there is doubt. There are those moments where you question, and that's what being a human being is about. And that makes you a smart individual, right? To
Hmm.
step back and question what you're going through. There are those moments that you're like, I cannot explain this. Soul level or non-soul level. It makes
Beautiful.
no sense to me.
I love
Usually it
that.
does at some point down the road, right? In the rearview mirror. But that's what I'm saying too. Like we're not saying this is the be all end all. It's the rainbow of life. We're
Right.
saying we're living our real lives and we're using this magic to make it even more exciting.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And I mean, I come off as a skeptical and a Scrooge, I feel like sometimes, but I am such a magical person, I promise. Like I
I
very much
know.
believe in these things. I just am in such a niche specific group of humans that are traumatized that I see some of these things as like, yikes.
And you're protecting people. I think
Yeah,
you're
it's
doing
what it
what you're
feels
doing
like.
because you want to protect people for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, which
It
is
sounds like you guys are on the
so,
same page. I fucking love that. I know you're trying to do the same thing too. So I don't ever want to come like, oh, science is the be all end all. I'm above anyone.
no.
Absolutely
No,
not. We're all healers trying to heal people. So
That's right. Or it's purpose through pain. Like I think we've all suffered some
Hmm.
sort of pain in our lives and we found our purpose through that in all different in these different aspects, right?
and this is what Rob and I are always
it's
saying
one of
too
those
about the
moments
layering.
right there, Robin, like purpose through pain. Like I'm going through some things that we talked about beforehand that I have
That's
found my
right.
purpose through
Yeah.
that. So that's
It's
a
true.
tingly
Both
moment.
of us,
Thank you.
all of us on this conversation can say as we look back, those were the milestones that really made us who we are, right? Like, you know, father passing away, cancer, like all those things, getting through those, however we can, in whatever way works for us. Looking back at those, that's molded who we are.
Hmm.
And it will always be painful.
Yeah,
That doesn't change no matter what but it's what we do with it and how some of these things can help us understand them.
I love that. All right, let's go into the future. Chloe, bring us into the next frontier section.
Yeah, girls, what's on your roadmap for the next, let's call it 5, 10 years? What
Oh
are you working
man.
on,
Ooh.
developing?
So much. I mean, you're talking to two women who come from working at these major media companies. So we really look at Seeking Center as a media company with community at the center of it. And so one of the things that we're really excited about, even in the next year, is doing more of combining science with spirituality and
Hmm.
being able to show how several of these different modalities are working, both for the person who is the practitioner and
Yeah.
what's going on in their brain, as well as what's going on with the seeker who may be receiving either messages or energy healing, any of that. We're really interested in diving into how do these alternative therapies, that is how we like to look at them, or resources impact and how are they happening? So Cody, it's totally up your alley.
I love it. I was pumped when you said that beforehand. So I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we're also redefining what a network is. So back to my big old dream of dreams of
that's
creating
right.
this network, we've really redefined that in a lot of different ways. And one of them is creating this community, which is going to have content that's accessible to everyone, but also to creating a network of content and podcasts with the practitioners and people that are out there making content. Back to what we were saying before about kind of discovering these creators in this space who are looking for their people and their audience. So we're creating a Seeking Center network of podcasts and of YouTubers as well, so that we collectively can help monetize that as a whole, and then ideally make more content, make those shows that we've been dreaming about. So maybe there'll be an HGTV version of feng shui and Ayurvedic cooking for the soul, or all the rest. I mean, we really believe the world wants that kind of content. And like you said earlier, Cody, there's a lot of creators out there right now doing that. You've got the Gaias of the world, but we want to do it within the Seeking Center flavor.
Yeah.
within the Seeking Center brand of all the things that we've talked about, making the woo a little bit more real for people, woo in real life versus, out there in the ether, like we said before. So that's the ultimate vision of where we're headed. And we think we
And
have
then along with that, publishing and so forth. So we've had several people who were looking to do books that were, help publish their books, doing some of our own, and then live events. We want to do more in person,
Yes.
throughout really, the world. I mean, we have now. We're starting to do events in both Chicago and Texas, but we're going to be going hopefully out and doing more in other cities, really around the world, because our practitioners are around the world. So like retreats and so forth, and partnerships with hotels and things like that. So
It sounds low key like you guys are like trying to build Disney. That's what it sounds like.
I love it.
I'm just
Spiritual
saying.
Disney. I love
Spiritual
that. Yeah.
Disney. Exactly. That's what it
Now,
sounds
we
like.
said, ESPN, right? Who would have thought there'd be a whole network just of sports?
Dude.
Right? Why can't we do the same thing? And
then have those in-person type
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
but I
Exactly.
think there's so many products that are out there too, right? That's even like a whole nother
Right. That's right. It's marketplace.
curation, and storytelling around these people who are making these incredible products. So yeah, we have to like nail ourselves to the floor sometimes, because we're always
I feel that.
coming up with all these wonderful.
I feel that
ideas.
at a molecular level.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. That's cool. Let's move into the lightning lab. So this is the last section where we ask just a couple rapid fire questions here. We got one for Robyn and we got one for Karen, and then we'll do our final question as well, which is actually from a previous guest. We always ask every guest.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's start with Robyn. So this is the counterintuitive truth. Okay. So what the question is, what's one important truth that very few people agree with you on?
Ooh. Huh. This is challenging for me.
It's really hard because I almost agree with everything.
It's one important truth that not everybody agrees with me on. I'm trying to think about that. Hold on.
It's a really hard question.
It's okay.
I mean-
we've got another one for you coming up, Karen. Just wait.
Goodness.
Can't wait for. Can you tell me now so I have time to think?
Okay. My important truth. I guess I would say, it just really even in context of this conversation, that we can heal ourselves. I really believe that we can heal ourselves. That's the only person that can heal yourself is you. And so anybody, going back to that red flag, anyone who says that they can heal you is not someone you should be going to.
Oh
They
my
can facilitate. That's why we're really careful with saying, we don't say healers, we say healing practitioners, because they are just helping to facilitate your own healing. The only person though that really can do that is yourself. So that is what I would say.
I'd hug you if I was there.
Beautiful
That's
answer.
freaking beautiful. Love that.
Thanks.
I love that.
Thanks, Spirit.
All right, Chloe. Bring us home with
All right,
Karen's
Karen,
question.
you're up. What is one question that you wish people would ask you more?
Me?
Yes.
Ask me more. Wish people would ask me why.
But you go.
I think so many people come to each other already having an answer to the question that they're already asking in their head. And I think so many people that I know are also, I don't know. I don't think that's a good answer to the question now. I'm trying to think of something better than that. What were you going to say, Robyn?
I think you would say, like, what do you need? Like, what you help everybody.
Aw,
But I think sometimes you could use people just focusing on you. So that would be what I would say. I think you're so giving of yourself, of your energy and of your love and your time. And I think more people should say, hey, Karen, what do you need today?
well, I think that's a great answer.
So I'm just sorry. I think I spend a lot of time with you, but
It's actually a good way to end because it kind of shows everyone the nature of who Robyn and I are to each other. And we're so fortunate to have our partnership, and Seeking Center wouldn't be without both of us coming together and supporting each other on the journey that we've had. starting a business, starting a podcast, all these things is so hard. And there's been so many days when we've been just at our wits' end, not sure if we should move forward any further. And these are the kinds of conversations that we have every day that lift us up and keep us both going. And I think has made Seeking Center really come to life. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Wow. I love that.
And I'm sure you guys can understand that,
Yeah,
doing
we
this
can.
yourselves, and I think what we see in each other is each other's light. And yeah, so.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Good questions, you guys.
It gets
Oh,
me.
you said there's one final one too.
I love the light thing. That's something that I every day I say. I have a note that says, "Be a sanctuary for your light." And the poem, "My deepest fear is not that I'm inadequate. My deepest fear is that I am powerful beyond measure. It's my light, not my darkness, that most frightens me. My playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around me. This isn't just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as you are liberated from your own fear, your presence automatically liberates others." And it just reminded me of that. I say it every day.
Love that.
Yeah. It's having
That's
the courage
truth.
to live that, I think.
Okay, and here's a funny synchronicity because you have something about light that you have on your list. I do too. I was like, wait, you do that too?
Wow.
My thing is just on top of my to-do list, I have how can I bring more light into this world? How can I serve today?
Damn.
It's kind of crazy. So
See?
proof on synchronicity.
I got the jingles again.
That the world
I mean,
out of us. Like I remember for so many years, like not wanting to shine that light in an office environment, like to turn it down, to not be seen. And it's the minute that you turn your light on that your whole life changes, and other lights see you. It's like you can be seen by those who are your people. Those are the people that you want to be around. So,
and literally when I met Karen, I remember where we were. We actually were in the LA office for OWN the first time I ever met her. And she walked into an office that I was standing in, and her light was so, I shouldn't even say a word. She just like, I didn't even know I could see energy at that time, honestly. But all I could see was her light. It was so bright. And I was like, and to your point, Cody, from that poem, all I wanted was more of that light in my world. I was like, okay. And it was this like recognition. And we all have certain, I think, things in our life. And a lot of times it's around seeing other people's light is what I would say. It's like all of a sudden something matches. It's like puzzle pieces coming together.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to cap it there. I mean, we couldn't end better than this.
Right.
This is beautiful.
Well, thank you for facilitating. This is such a meaningful conversation.
It's so energizing to be able to share story. But so we have our podcast, as you know, and we're always asking other people's questions, but it's a treat for us to be able to share this with you all. It makes us
on that note, where can people find you? Like, if they want to learn more, what do they want to know, or what's the message you want to leave them with?
Yeah, the best place to go is theseekingcenter.com. You'll be able to find our podcast, access to our private community, any sort of content that we have in terms of YouTube, or any of our other network partners. You can find them there. We also have a marketplace of vetted products because we partnered with a company called Mavi, which is how we met the two of you. Yep. And so you can find those there as well. You can also follow us at the Seeking Center on Instagram. Those are the best places to find us.
All right, we'll put that stuff in the comments. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here, and we appreciate you hopping in. Robyn and Karen are hopping off, but as you guys know, Chloe and I are sticking around for the lab results section, so make sure to tune in for that. But otherwise, peace out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, it's time for the lab results section, where we kind of break down what we really think about this conversation. Before I even hit record, Chloe was like, "Do you have a plan for this?" And I was like, "Yes," because this was awesome. I enjoyed this conversation. What do you think?
It was so energizing. Those girls are awesome.
Right, they answered it. I'm going to be honest with you. I came in a little bit thinking, okay, I am going to defend the people, and I'm going to show them the science, and this is cold reading, and this isn't real, and this is fake, and I was just like, I am becoming who I don't want to be that person necessarily. I want to be able to clearly articulate there is a thing as cold reading, tarot cards, introverts, medium, all of these types of people use that process. Yes, you could explain it away, but should you? I don't know. Like, and they just answered every single question exactly the way that I would hope they would.
Yeah, I think they nailed it.
So
passes for me for flying colors. This is very different than anything else we do on the podcast, because usually it's supplements, biohacking tools, wellness tools that you can actually really truly scientifically validate or not. This is a little bit different because this is spirituality. So they're just giving you a roadmap on who to work with and what to look for. And so I think they're doing a really good thing, because there's a lot of people doing incredible things in this space. And then there's also a few people that are really ego driven that aren't operating from the right place.
I agree. Yes. I would say that it is a little bit different. They're kind of doing what we are wanting to do for health and wellness products and services, but in the spiritual space. So I can be for that. I think that when they get more of the research and validation and some of the stuff that they were talking about implemented, I would be like full on hell yes. The review process, like the vibe check, they do it. They are practitioners and they do these things themselves, and they test the results of people and make sure they're not shaming people and like all the red flags. I think that's amazing. So I would recommend if that's the magic you want to believe in, I think Seeking Center would be a great place to go and try and find someone that could help you with that kind of magic. So I'm willing to say that. And I know I don't always, but I am willing to say that on this one. Was there a surprise lesson or anything that you learned that kind of blew your mind or caught you off guard?
Just the saying new to the woo.
New to the woo, baby.
New to the woo, or the woo news. I loved it.
Yeah, that was a wild time. I thought their definition of a seeker was pretty cool as well, and I also really loved how she said we can heal ourselves. I believe that to the core of my being. So
absolutely,
that was beautiful. Cool. Anything else? Any other thoughts on this one?
I think one other thing I would add is just the importance of, whether you want to call it intuition, gut feeling, and listening to how people make you feel when you choose to work with, what was the word they used? Spiritual practitioners?
I think that's what they said, yeah. Or like something therapies, alternative therapies.
And so that would be my concluding remark, is it's just very important to listen to how they make you feel.
Dude.
And if it's very inflationary or derogatory, then it's probably not the right person for you.
Couldn't agree more. I love that. I honestly came into this skeptical and probably not in the place I maybe should have necessarily, but their authenticity and their genuine desire, I believe, to help others really it came through. I felt the tingle. I felt the magic. I'm glad there are people like that out there. Like, I do feel protective over people because I work with the most traumatized of everyone. And so I'm amazed at how I feel right now and the thoughts and things and how well this went, in my opinion. So the magic exists, peeps. Just let it exist, even if it's your brain, which it is for me. Okay, cool. That's a wrap for the Decision Lab. Thank you guys so much for hopping in. If you love this No BS approach to wellness, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if there's a brand or a service or a product that you want us to investigate next or have their founder on, drop in the comments. We'll try and hit them up, see if they're down to hop on with us. And if you just want to say hi, hit us up on Instagram. Chloe and I love to hear from you guys. See you guys next time on Decision Lab. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.